Hey, what's up, everybody? It's TJ from Sanctified Homes, and today we're going to talk about how long does it take to build a house. So, what do you guys think? How long does it take? I'm going to tell you, but you're probably going to be surprised. So it varies, right? Like I could take, let's say, a shipping container and build a house in a weekend. But am I going to have well, septic? Is it on city water and sewer? There's a bunch of things to consider. So really what I want to talk about is general principles here. So it can always be faster. It could be a bit slower. So it depends on your situation, what size house you're looking to build, where you're looking to build, how long does it take us to get permits, all kinds of things factor in to what it takes for you to build your house. So first, when we're talking about this, I want to start with from the time we strip your lot, which is pulling all the dirt off, and then staking it to dig your foundation or pad that you're going to build your house on. So before that, there's a whole lot of work that goes in before we even stick a shovel in the ground, right? Like we're having meetings with you, we're meeting with the architect, we might be meeting with an engineer, depending on if we're having to span certain distances or make sure wall loads can carry across certain spans so that your house doesn't fall in or it doesn't have squeaky floors or bouncy floors for that matter. So that process, like we've done it as fast as like 30 days, but it's also taken 6 months to get the full house designed. So if you say a builder says, oh, it's 6 months to build a house. Well, is that also adding the design phase into it? Like right now, I do not want to add the design phase. Like there's the design phase, then you have to get financing. Then you got to set up the money at the title company so that draws can be made to pay all of those contractors when they're working on your house. So even if you're paying cash, let's say, to build your house, that money still needs to go sit at the title company so that we know the money is there to pay the subcontractors. So that takes a bit of time to happen. The more elaborate your house is, typically the more time that goes into designing the design phase, right? Like I said, we've had it take as much as 6 months. I've heard of other builders taking over a year to 2 years just to design a house. So it kind of depends on where you're sitting with that. Now, normally, typical situation, we're going to say 60 to 90 days and we can get your house designed, fit on your lot, and be ready to build within that time frame. So if it takes, let's say, 90 days to get that part done, then if you're going to finance that home build, you probably have at least another 30 days to get that loan approved. So from the time that we go, oh, okay, this is our house, we get all your bids and everything in, then we have to take that and give it to your lender with the specs to actually build your house, because your lender is going to have to do an appraisal on that build with those specs to determine if they want to give you a loan on that house. Once all of that is done, now we can start the build process. So you could have easily anywhere from 2 to 4 months into, at a minimum, before we put a shovel in the ground to strip your lot. So then we get to actually building your house. Okay, so this is where I want to go. How long does it take to build a house? So from the time we start digging to the time you get their keys, again, let's say it depends on the house size. Is it 1,000 square foot ranch with no finished basement and one roof line coming straight across the top? That's going to go really fast. Is it a 2-story home with a huge vaulted area, multiple fireplaces? We're doing some special details where maybe we're waiting 3 months just to get windows. That can take a lot longer. The difference between building, let's say, a $500,000 house and a $2 million house can be months different. So it could be a couple months, but it could also be 6 months to a year, depending on who we're relying on, who's doing some of the work, especially some of the time if we get into we're putting in metal beams, only certain people can do that. Only certain people can do some of the work when we're talking about, maybe a floating stair that's going to go into your drywall that looks like it's just overhanging, right? Like not everyone can just install that or understands how it goes. So we have to be able to fit onto those people's schedule so that can push it out. Traditional, right? Like I'm saying traditional. I don't know why I keep doing traditional. You're going to be able to build your house within 5 to 6 months, okay, from the time we dig a hole. We had a little bit of a hiccup with COVID. Obviously, supply chains got all messed up. We all of a sudden at one point had over 4 to 5 months just to get trusses. So that pushed everything back, right? Like we were in the process of building homes and then they just sat because all of a sudden the truss plants were like, we're not building any. You know, like everyone that was in the trades knew what happened then. So if that happens again, throw everything out the window. We don't know what's happening. Catastrophic event, throw it out the window. It's going to delay it. So in your typical home build fashion, from the time we dig the hole till you're going to move in is 6 months. If you get more complicated, bigger houses, it can take a lot longer. You know, we'll see anywhere from a year to 18 months, depending on what we're looking to do. Do we have to tear a house down? Do we got to put roads in? All kinds of stuff like that. And then also your permitting process, depending on where you are, especially, it's not that the people are more difficult, but some of the towns or cities like Madison can take a little longer, request more information, documentation to build there than some of the other areas. It's not good or bad, it just is what it is. So just figure 6 months from the time you dig a hole. And then the other part that's going to predicate that is how fast can you make your decisions when you're looking to build a house. So if somebody says, hey, it's 6 months, like I'm always going to predicate that on, do you mean, is it when we start digging a hole? Or do you mean like, if you say you want to work with me today and you want to be in your house in 120 days and we don't have any plans, we don't have a lot tied up, nothing, it's probably not happening unless you look at one of the plans we've already done and say that one, and we can go out today and find a lot that house will specifically sit on. So when you're building a home, I know the rush is always to get in, but there's a bunch of work that's super important on the front end where you're going to spend more time on the front. And then it's like, once all of those decisions are made, you're kind of waiting as we build through that. But I want to spend more time up front to make sure you're getting the house that you want, so that you're getting all of those things and thinking about these things so that not later on, you're like, oh, I wish I would have known we should have put an outlet in our coat closet because I have a Dyson and I want to hang it there and charge it right there. That's where we're sitting down up front and going, do you want more electrical here? Should we have more water fixtures? Do you want a water fixture where you think your dog bowl will be so you can just fill that up? Do you want a pot filler over your stove? Do you want heated tile floors in your shower, multiple rain heads? Or are we just drawing the plan and assuming stuff that you want? I'd rather get it right and have these conversations so you get the right home, and maybe it takes a little bit longer than later on going, oh shoot, I wish I would have. So there's a ton of education that goes into it. Make sure you're working with a builder that understands the 4 control layers. We did a whole video on it. And make sure you call their references, right? So make sure you're reaching out to them and actually calling. We find that 90% of the people that we actually pass references on do not call them. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you call and just ask how it went. Did they enjoy the process? Are there things that they wish they would have done differently? And you'll have a better idea. Also ask friends that have built before with other builders. Like, how did it go? What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you wish somebody would have asked you that wasn't asked? There are so many neat things, especially when you're talking about technology and automation that can go into your house now. Like, it's kind of mind-blowing. It's hard to even keep up with. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on how long it takes to build a home. We have tons of other videos. Make sure you're subscribing, hit like if you're on YouTube. Make sure I think you follow on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. We'll have descriptions and the stuff below to follow us on our other channels. Let us know what kind of questions you would like us to answer for you. We're here for you, the consumer. Like, I want to make sure this channel is something that people can come to when they're looking to build so that they can make the best decision for you and your family. So anyway, guys, don't forget to raise your standard. We'll talk to you soon.